All right, guys, we are on episode 8 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Rifting Apart opens up on a bit of a bummer, I would say. We see the brutal crime scene at the high school. Cops are after Ash. Pablo's tearing up. Brandy and Kelly are gone. But then Ash has a thought. 30 years ago, Professor Nobi's spirit got stuck in a rift of time and space, and that makes Ash think he could just walk into the rift, grab Brandy and Kelly, and then walk away, right? But before they can even attempt to get that done, they mention putting Brandy's spirit back into her body, and of course that means they have to get her body first. From there, it is into the rift we go. We reunite with Brandy, who is just freaking out, trying to figure out what that place is. After attempting and failing to help one young girl from getting dragged into the ground, Dalton steps in and warns her, if it finds you, it'll take you too. Dalton thinks they found a place where this it doesn't come around much, and on the way there, they run into Kelly, who explains stuff in the rift just doesn't work like it does in the real world. So while it appears they've stepped into the local theater, it's actually the local bar. Back in the real world, Ash and Pablo steal the Corners van with Brandy's body in it, and things seem to be working out. But of course, there has to be a snag in the plan, and this one comes in the form of a second body in the back of the van. And assuming that individual wasn't killed with a dagger by Ash vs. Evil Dead rules, that means they're coming back as a deadite. They arrive at the hardware store, go down to the basement with a body, and that's when Pablo reveals what that last night, her name is Zoe, was busy doing last episode. She was standing guard there in the basement, but she's not there anymore. Did she run off? Did she get sucked into the rift? Or maybe something else? After talking in circles for a little, Pablo comes to the conclusion that in order to get to this Evil Dead place, Ash has to let the evil kill him. Anyone would be turned off by that idea, but as someone who has okayed some super dumb plans over the course of this series, when Ash seems truly uncomfortable with the idea of dying but decides to go through with it for Kelly and Brandy, it really means something. Together, Ash and Pablo stab Ash with a dagger, and sure enough, then he wakes up in the rift. He reunites with Kelly, Brandy, and Dalton and insists that they get to the hardware store basement, hoping that Pablo will have opened the rift and then they can just walk right through. But again, things in that area don't work like they do in the real world, so they have to make their way all the way there first. Dalton opts to sacrifice himself so they can make a run for it, but it turns out he almost does that for nothing because Ash insists on getting into the delta that he finds, even though Kelly warns him nothing there works. Ash does manage to get the car running, though, just in the nick of time, because after being pulled down into the ground, the Delta finally resurfaces. Ash drives it straight through that shadowy demon thing, and then they make it to the basement. Trouble is, Pablo has his hands full in the real world because it turns out they brought the wrong body inside, and now that body has gone deadite. After a great vice head smash, Pablo goes back down to the basement, and he does it. He opens the rift. Ash and Brandy make it through, but Kelly can't. It won't let her out, and it is probably because Kaya is still in her body in the real world. Before closing out this episode, we get one last scene with Ruby and Kaya as Kelly, and as I suspected last episode, these two are not really on the same page anymore. Kaya tells Ruby they are in big trouble when the Dark Ones arrive, but Kaya managed to grab that Knight of Sumeria, and when Zoe speaks some Latin, it tips Ruby off. Zoe apparently can help them rewrite destiny. So things continue to progress and come together nicely this season. The rift didn't disappoint, and because Kelly is still in the Deadlands, I suspect we're not done with that place yet, but I am really into the rules that the show is establishing right now. Some things do feel a little easy, like Ash managing to get the Delta running and driving it through that smoky demon thing, but those are the things that the show can kind of get away with because of the heightened nature of the material and because Ash is the chosen one. And on top of that, we've got a lot of story developments happening now that do make a lot of sense and also have real heart to back them up. Again, I like silly, stupid Ash, but it's nice seeing Bruce Campbell tap into his range a little more here because it is abundantly clear, more so than ever, that Ash really cares for Brandy and feels deeply responsible for her, and it's upping the stakes big time at the tail end of the season. And the same goes for Ash and Pablo's desperation to save Kelly as well. As a viewer, I'm already invested in that, but seeing Pablo tear up, both for Kelly and Ash as well this episode, really made me uneasy in a way that upped the urgency and emotion quite a bit. But I will say, right now, I'm betting on Kelly coming back to life. If Ash and Brandy can return to their bodies, why not Kelly after Kai is booted out of it? But I'm also thinking there's gotta be a major character death this season, right? I like these guys quite a bit, so I'll always want them to live happily ever after, but I also want the show to come back for season 4, and if that happens and they defeat evil and they're all happy, where could the series really go from there? Another possibility that's on my mind, thanks to some suggestions that came in on Twitter and in the YouTube comments section, is that maybe Ash will be the one to go himself, maybe sacrificing himself for Brandy, Kelly, and Pablo. But playing that out in my mind also got me thinking, is that kind of plot point really appropriate or even necessary for this show? Yeah, characters need to die in order for the threat to feel real, but this is a horror comedy. Darkness can work in the tail end of the season like it is right now, but a serious major death wouldn't really feel like the right place to wrap things up in season 3. So now that has my mind spinning completely out of control in Theoryland and going in the exact opposite direction. We saw Ash and Brandy come back from the Deadlands. Professor Nobi did it at a point. What if more Ash vs. Evil Dead characters can come back? Because I certainly wouldn't mind seeing a party-style reunion to wrap things up. And if you couldn't already tell by this last little breakdown, clearly I am panicked by the season winding down without a season 4 renewal, and yeah, if it didn't come back, that'd be a bummer, but I am feeling hopeful that season 4 or not, season 3 is wrapping up so strong. They've done an exceptional job further strengthening the connection between the characters, building on the already established mythology in new ways, and delivering episode after episode that feels consistent enough, but also have their own unique flavor. And all of that is why I can't get enough of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Are you guys feeling the same way that I am? Hit that comment section below, share your thoughts on this episode, and also where you think the show is going in the final 2 episodes of season 3. Before wrapping up now, I've got a trio of Patreon shoutouts to give to Andrew, David, and Neil, sending you guys tons of thanks from myself and from the deputy here. This channel truly brightens my day, and you guys help make that happen, so thank you. And thanks to everybody watching this recap and review right now. Please like and share it, and I will see you next weekend to talk about Episode 9, Judgment Day.